Good afternoon, everybody. Is this on? There we go. Welcome you to the Portage Fire Hall. I'm State Representative Jim Rigby. This is the Cybercrime Awareness class. There will be a 20-point quiz afterwards. Multiple choice answers, thank God. Mike, Mark, and Kevin, in no particular order. They shuffled around from where I saw them standing before. Our three professors up at St. Francis University. We're able to put this program together because of a grant they received, and I helped them receive through DCED. So this is the second one we've done now. We did one over in Crescent a while back, pre-Christmas, I think. It was early. So we're going to get out into the communities, going to let you know what's going on. These three professors all teach cybercrime at the college, so they're the ones that are going to be able to answer all your questions. So when it's over, please don't ask me, because I'm as dumb as a doorknob when it comes to this stuff. But these guys are very good. I sat through their last class. I'm going to enjoy sitting through this one. Have questions ready for them. They'll be ready to answer them for you, but I hope you enjoy it. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Gentlemen, it's your show.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Mike, introduce yourself first.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for being here. I'm Mike Zambati. I teach at St. Francis University. I went to Penn State. I grew up in Johnstown. I went to Utica University for my master's in cybersecurity. A couple things about me. I love, hopefully like everybody else here, most of you, I love Pittsburgh sports. And my claim to fame, probably the best thing about me is I can do a Rubik's Cube in about 3 minutes. So that's kind of my claim to fame.
So sorry you get a picture of me. I didn't get one from the other guys in time to put in the slide. But I'm Kevin. I went to Mount Aloysius right up the road and Robert Morris. Currently live in Johnstown. Also teach at St. Francis. And unlike Mike, I can't do a Rubik's Cube at all.
Oh, my turn. All right. All right. Can everybody hear this okay? First off, I'd like to thank Representative Rigby for having us here to do this and talk with you about cybercrime, cybersecurity. It's really important, especially in today's world. So I'm Mark Buckwalter. I don't actually teach cybersecurity. I teach criminal justice, but as you can tell, that's very closely related. So I live about 10 minutes down the road, up in the mountain outside of Lilly. Like I said, I have my background is in criminal justice. I did 27 years in law enforcement and corrections, got into teaching. Been at St. Francis now for 8 years now. Been teaching college for about 14 years. Even did some teaching when I was with the government. So I have quite a wealth of knowledge when it comes to some of the stuff that we're dealing with in criminal justice system today. So again, thanks for being here. And I will tell you, as these guys get going, these guys are really experts in this field. Get your questions ready. Write some notes down. Be prepared, because there's a lot of really good information that you're going to learn today. So thanks for being here.
All right, so whenever we think about technology and the internet, is there anybody who has not been on the internet? Anybody? 100% of people here. We probably don't agree on much, but we've all been on technology. We all have cell phones. We've all been on the internet. We are all potential targets, okay? Whenever we think about people on the internet, which is all of us, it's our families, it's our kids, it's our friends, everybody that we know, we think that we have to be right? We think about the attackers out there, the people trying to do harm. Unfortunately, there's people trying to do harm to us. There's people trying to get our data. There's people trying to find out things about us, impersonate us, get our money as well. So we have to be right all of the time, or as much as possible, whenever it comes to our own personal security. There's a great movie back from last century. Maybe if you've seen it, it's called Pushing Tin. There's very few movies about air traffic controllers, and this is one. There's a great line. You land 1 million planes safely, then you have one little midair, and you never hear the end of it. So a really awesome movie. Billy Bob Thornton's in it. Great movie about air traffic controllers. But the concept is this. Air traffic controllers aren't paid to land the planes, well, not land the planes. They're paid to land the plane safely. Okay, so if they're wrong one time, that screws up their entire career. Okay, so as people who want to protect our data, we want to be right all of the time. So what we want to do today, we want to put you in a position to be as safe as possible whenever you go on the internet. There is amazing stuff. Great technology is incredible. So many good uses. It lets us communicate with our family. It lets us look up things and watch videos and do all kinds of stuff. But we also want to make sure we're as safe as possible whenever we use that technology. So anybody want to give it a try here? Anybody want to take a little easy one? Who wants to any volunteers? No volunteers? Go for it. You want to volunteer? All you got to do is read it.
What if I told you you read the first line wrong, same with the second and also the third?
Oh. Wow. I do the same thing. What if I told you read the first line wrong, same with the second and also the third? Right.
Except 2015 and 2020.
Yeah, pretty interesting, right? Anybody take a shot? Anybody else, kind of read in your mind?
What if I told you read the first line wrong? Same with the second and also the third.
All right. How did you feel? Did you feel like you got it accurate? Anybody want to comment? Did she get it accurate? No. Go for it.
Let's start with a warm-up. What if I told you you read the first line wrong, same with the second, and also the third?
Did you get it correct?
I think so.
You did not. Yes. Oh, what was that again? Say that louder. What is going on here? Why are our brains not functioning? Everybody, I do the same thing. We all do the same thing. It's amazing. It's almost impossible to read that accurately. Why? Why? It's out of order, but our brains are really awesome at what's called error correcting. We'll read that, and we'll see another one later. But our brains are really good at error correcting. We can read that, same with the second, because same the with second doesn't make any sense, right? Same the with second. What's that mean? Same with the second. Oh, my brain corrected. It error corrects. So our brains are fascinating with error correction. Everybody that read it, including myself, read it wrong. That's normal. That's how our brains work. That means your brain is doing what it's supposed to do. However, whenever you get the emails, everybody's probably gotten the emails or the text messages, and maybe a word is misspelled, and you'll go through and your brain will fix it. Or maybe there's grammar that's wrong. Okay, and your brain fixes it. So we don't notice those little things. What we want to do is make sure we're noticing those little tiny details whenever we get those text messages or those emails from somebody that might be trying to do us harm. Okay, they might be sending a message, but maybe English is not the first language, and they don't translate it correctly. They have spelling errors. So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're thinking about those things, that we're thinking about those little tiny details that really, if you don't really, really look at it, that can throw you off. So what we're trying to do, we're thinking about fishing, okay? Not like trout fishing. That's not until April, right? We're thinking about scams. What kind of scams are being run against good people like us? Passwords as well. Everybody here has a password, right? Anybody want to volunteer their passwords? No? Okay. And then we have a list. We actually have a printout of everybody's password. And then also, how do we protect our online accounts? How are we going to protect our data? How are we going to protect our money, our personas, our friends and family as well?
So before we move on to the next slide, we're going to do story time with Mark. He has a great story for everybody about some bad things that have happened in real life.
All right. So this is story time, but this should get us thinking a little bit about how things happen. So I just told you that I have quite the extensive history in working in law enforcement and corrections, and so my parents know that. For years, I've talked to them about how to be safe and secure on the internet. Well, let me tell you what happened about a year or so ago to my father one Saturday morning. My father is now 85, but he was 84 at that time. So my 84-year-old father is on the internet, and he is checking his email, okay? And he sees what he thinks is a link to somebody that he knows. So you know what he does? He clicks on it. Click. Then he clicks again because he's pretty sure he knows this person, but guess what? He really doesn't know this person. The next thing you know, before he even realizes what has happened, he is getting a response from this email account to please call us. We have a problem with your account. So what does he do? He gets his cell phone out and he calls this number. And as soon as he calls this number, it begins, right? The hackers already have him. So they instruct him to, we need you to go to the bank and pull out $5,000, okay? So I can see the look on some of your faces right now, and you're like, oh my, yep. So he's like, what do you mean I have to go pull out money? We need you to go pull out $5,000, and we need you to wire that to us, right? We're going to send you some codes, and you wire that to us. So my dad jumps up and takes off running out the door. My mother's like, what's going on? And there he goes, right out the door. So as he's traveling along to go to the bank, they're telling him on the cell phone, here's what's going to happen. If you don't get the money for us, we're going to download some images on your computer that you won't be able to erase. Now he's panicked. He's getting a fear of threats and intimidation. So he goes to the bank, and fortunately, as my counterpart Mike will talk about, the banking industry, they're highly trained to be responsive if something like this happens. They're not just going to give up the money. So he walked into the bank, put his account information out, and said, hey, I need $5,000. But the bank teller could hear the person on his cell phone, and the bank teller said, no, not going to give you any money today, right? So the person could hear that on the line. So my dad walks out of the bank, and he's still panicked, has no idea what to do. He decides now, what should I do next? And they tell him, go to another bank, go to another branch, and get this money out. So he follows suit, right? Because he doesn't want anything to mess with his computer. He's very panicked and scared. He goes to another bank, same thing happens. They won't give him the money. So then they instruct him, because they realize now that he's not going to be able to get money out of the bank, they instruct him to go get cryptocurrency, right? Everyone in here knows what cryptocurrency is? Yeah? If not, we're gonna learn about it a little bit later. So my father goes, and he's able to get $2,000 of cryptocurrency out. My father has no idea what cryptocurrency is. But he gets this money out and follows suit with what they're telling him. And then he wires them the cryptocurrency, $2,000 out the door. So as this starts to happen, and my parents live on the other side of the state, my mother calls me and said, hey, something's up with your dad. And I'm like, oh, no. I said, can you please go check his computer? He just ran out of here, and I'm not quite sure. So she goes and looks, and I said, do you see the mouse? Is it moving all around? She said, yes. I said, shut the computer down right now. They were in his computer, accessing bank accounts, all the kind of information that, we put on the computer, right? So she shut everything down, and fortunately that took care of that. I called my brother, and he was very close to my parents. Like, get over there right now and see what's going on. But in the same token, the hackers had instructed my father this time to go to Home Depot. It was right before Christmas. Go there and get us $2,000 in gift cards, right? So now he's on a mission to go get gift cards, and he does. $2,000 in gift cards. So my parents, myself, my wife, everyone's trying to make contact with my father, but we can't get a hold of him because he's occupied on his cell phone with the hackers, right? The folks that got in through his account. So nobody can get a hold of him. This is brilliant. This is smart on these people trying to figure this out, right? And so here's my father who's vulnerable for this, and now we have $2,000 in Home Depot gift cards. I was able to track my brother down and say, hey, keep trying to get a hold of Dad. If we can get a hold of him, tell him to cash. We got to cash those gift cards immediately because we don't want them to get them. Buy anything you can. If you get through to him, buy whatever you can get. Snow blowers, whatever's big time expense, we can knock out those gift cards so they don't get them. At one point, my father went through a tunnel, lost a connection with the folks on the line. My brother was able to get a hold of them. My brother got the numbers of the gift cards, called it in to Home Depot, bought a couple snow blowers. Merry Christmas to me, right? So, but ultimately what happens is we end up calling the police, letting the police know what happened. My father was okay, because sometimes there might be a situation where they might tell you they're going to meet with you, right? These folks might want to meet with you, and then it goes awry. It goes bad, right? And we don't want that. So my father, yes, he was out, $2,000 realistically from the Bitcoin. But the problem is it could have been a lot worse. I mean, realistically, it could have been 10, 11, 15,000. So we were able to stop it and cease it at $2,000. But this is how fast this happens. That's why we're here. That's why we have the experts up here in cybercrime to talk with you about this. So it's important that I tell you that story. I don't think my father really likes me telling that story, but it happens so fast to us, and that's why it's important, because we can educate you a little bit as to what's going on. That's going to make it better for all of us. Isn't that true? So that's why we have these folks up here, and I know Mike and Kevin have a lot more information to talk about this, so we can stop this, right? So we can be careful about what we're doing on the internet. So, all right, we'll get going again here.
In cybersecurity, we as cybersecurity professionals, we're required to use memes or kind of a funny cartoon in order to convey our message. We can't do presentations that don't have those. We'll lose our cybersecurity cards. All right, so here's a couple that I like. Somebody figured out my password, and now I have to rename my dog. Okay, anybody have their pet's name as a password? Don't raise your hand, right? Maybe, yeah, sometimes. And when your French toast sticks have a better password than your email. You can't see it, but it actually says this box is password protected from the delicious Burger King French toast sticks. Awesome. We are not sponsored by Burger King, right? McDonald's, in fact, I think. And then also the last one, the file broke my computer. Okay, why did you open the attachment? I have to open the attachment for my job. All right, we told you not to open suspicious links, okay, like we're telling you today. Well, if they were that easy to spot, you would have blocked it already, right? So kind of an interesting story, right? If it was that obvious, then we would block them. Then people wouldn't receive these things. They wouldn't receive the threats in their email boxes. Maybe Microsoft or Google or Apple would block these before they even get to your phone or they get to your email account, all right? So the attackers are after you. That's why we're talking about this. Maybe not you personally, but your data, your important things, the things that make you, your medical information, your personal identifiable information, your bank accounts, your credit card numbers. That's what they want to get from you, all right? So hopefully, our job today is not to scare anybody, but it is to make you aware as possible as far as what's possible, because as technology grows, it changes, okay? Everybody's heard artificial intelligence, and it's like you can't open up anything without seeing something about artificial intelligence, and the computers are taking over the world, all right? So attackers are also using this new technology to craft attacks that are very personalized, very customized, and make it seem like it's coming right after you and make it seem like they know you. Okay, we'll show you some examples of attacks that it looked like the attackers, wow, they actually have some information about me, and they're using this. So they must know, they must be coming for me. And they haven't sent me a picture of my house, all right? They sent me a picture of my kids and so forth. And we'll see whenever those happen, what the best way to do, what the best way to go is. Okay, so we think about what phishing is. I said, we're not doing trout fishing today. We're going to wait for a couple months. But phishing is whenever a professional criminal is going to reach out and engage with you, okay? That's an important note. These people that do these kind of things are professional criminals. This is what they do as a business. This is not the traditional, someone sitting in their parents' basement wearing a hoodie, typing away on a keyboard. These are professionals. They go to office buildings, okay? They go to office buildings, sometimes in the US, sometimes in other countries. They go there, this is their job, is to come after us, all right? So what they're trying to do is steal our information. They are trying to prey on fear, uncertainty, and doubt, okay? The three things that I wake up every morning feeling, right? It's called FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They also look for curiosity, current events, authority, okay? Some of the examples that we'll show you will look at these exact attack vectors and how they would prey on these things to make it seem like, hey, if I don't do something, like Mark was saying, and his father, if I don't do this, harm will come to me. Harm will come to a family member, okay? So what do we do whenever we're facing those situations? Everybody thinks, well, that won't happen to me, but I'm sure that's what Mark's father was saying maybe 2 years ago before it actually, in fact, did happen to him.
So let's do a little bit more detail about phishing. Maybe you all have seen these emails in your own mailbox. Most of the time, they look like they're coming from a legitimate company, a legitimate place. Or maybe it's not a company, maybe it's somebody you know. I have a demo a little later of some emails currently in my inbox that I want to show you that do this. We call this spoofing, whenever the attacker tries to make their email look like it's from not them, when it's from somebody else. And just like Mike said, who are they going to make it look like it's from? Somebody you know. Right? They're going to target you. And like he also said, it's probably, if they're doing a good job, probably going to contain personal data. One of the times, I know Mike uses this example a lot, you'll get an email and it'll start off with, is this your password? And then bam. And you look at it and you think, holy crap, that's my password. Or it was a password that I used last month, last year, whatever. But now you think, they have information about me because they have a password that I used to use. Now, we teach our students, these things are just out there on the internet. We've all heard about breaches that happen. You see them in the news, passwords get stolen from companies. So sure, these bad guys may have our passwords, but you're not thinking that when you get this email, right? You get the email, it has your password in it, and you're thinking, something is wrong. They know me, they have my information, they have access. And it puts that fear into you that Mike just talked about. So there are a bunch of different types of phishing. We're not really going to focus too detailed on all the terminology that we make our students remember, but we just want to talk a little bit so you kind of understand the breadth of what this actually is. So there is just a basic phishing attack that these criminals, they just send out millions of emails and hope that somebody clicks on them. There's no personal information, nothing directed at you. It's just, here's an email that looks like it's from Best Buy about, you have a new shipment coming, and they hope that somebody clicks on it. That's just the basic phishing attack. But then we get into what is called spear phishing. Spear phishing is where they research you. They look up your information, they target the email to you. This is no longer an email sent to 1 million people, this is an email sent to one person, right? They are researching somebody that they think has money, and they're gonna send an email crafted to you that looks as real as possible to try to get you to click on it. So I don't wanna tell you don't trust anything you see online anymore, but don't trust anything you see online, because doing these things, it's pretty easy. We show our students how to do these things in class. It's not difficult to do. We already talked about spoofing. Whenever you make the emails look like they're coming from somebody else, typically from somebody that you know, to get you to click on it. But then there are also types of phishing that don't have anything to do with email. And a little bit later, Mike is gonna talk through some examples. We have some pictures in here to show you. But smishing or SMS-ishing, this is a phishing email that you get on a text message on your cell phone. So phishing happens everywhere, not just an email. Maybe has anybody, show of hands, anybody gotten one of these text messages? Just random text messages, clearly not for you, or they're about something that you have no idea. Yeah, they just send out. And anybody can text message any number, right? You can just guess a phone number and send a message. That's all they're doing. They're just automating sending messages to 1 million phone numbers and hoping somebody reads it and clicks on it. And then there's also vishing, voice phishing, where they're doing the same thing, but they're doing it with a phone call. Or they're gonna leave a voicemail and hope you listen to it and then call the number back, whatever. They're doing it with their voice instead of with text. So basically, any way that a hacker has to trick you, they're gonna try to trick you, because it's one of the simplest forms of stealing money from people. It's one of the simplest forms of crime. Why on earth would a hacker break into a computer? That's hard. Why not just trick a person? That's pretty easy. So that's why this happens so much, because it's one of the easiest ways for attackers to get what they want. And let's just be honest, what do they want? 100% of the time it's money. 100% of the time. That money may come through other means, like gift cards or cryptocurrency, but whatever the case is, it's money. Everything boils down to money. So go ahead, Mike, you could talk through some of these.
Yeah, we'll start out with an example. And this is an example of a phishing email, okay? Now, if you look at the big red box, it says, this message seems dangerous, right? You would be shocked. Now, most people would read that and say, wow, maybe I should proceed with caution. You would be shocked at how many people just completely ignore that. And they just, oh, I'm gonna go to the message here. Chris Miles, okay? It was sent by Chris Miles, somebody purporting to be Chris Miles, but it says graymichael449@gmail.com. Okay, that's the actual email address it's from. All right, so right then, we wanna kind of look at that, and going back to our initial 4-line thing, that whenever we read it, we wanna look at details. Okay, who is it from? Do I know Chris Miles? Is graymichael449 Chris Miles' email address? All right, something seems incongruent there. Something seems off. And then if we look at the bottom of the body of the message, good morning, Jim. Got a moment? Give me your personal cell number. I need you to complete a task for me. Thank you, Chris Miles. So sent from my iPhone. There's no links. Okay, nothing to click on. It seems pretty innocuous, right? It seems like, okay, well, you got a task that you need to do. So what happens is, generally speaking, whenever somebody gets these emails, then it starts down a path of communication. You give your personal cell phone number, they call you, okay? And your guard kind of goes down and you think, well, yes, this person calls me, I don't know who this person is. However, I gave this person my cell phone number. So I'm building some trust, and then they will have a conversation with you, and they'll talk, and they'll say, hey, you know, we need a gift card for this particular thing, or something happened. In this case, it's in a corporate environment. So it would be, you know what, I'm in a meeting right now with a client, okay, and things are going very badly. We need to smooth this over. I need to give the client something. So run out and get a gift card, give me the number, you can expense it through the company. So we see things like that, and it's like, oh, okay, the story seems legitimate, and that's what it works. A lot of these things that we'll talk about and a lot of things that attackers will do is something called social engineering. Okay, social engineering. Sometimes we think of hackers as that person, again, with the hoodie, typing away on the computer, and everybody's probably seen movies and TV shows. Okay, that hacker or that computer guy is over there typing away on the computer and stealing your data through some technical means. But what often attackers will do is social engineering. They will be very nice. They will talk to you, and they'll develop a relationship. It's a term. Now, Kevin mentioned a couple terms. One was smishing. One was vishing. I said phishing as well. In the cybersecurity and cybercrime business, we don't always name things really awesome. We're not great at marketing. Those names are kind of weird, okay, to be quite honest. We have another term. It's called pig butchering, okay, which is like, really, like, who comes up with these? I don't know. Pig butchering is a term, and what it is they try to fatten up or develop trust with the person, with the victim in this case. So has anybody ever gotten a text message that said, hey, Alice, it's Bob. Are you still on to pick me up at the airport? Or are we meeting at the gym tonight? Or are we still on for dinner? Anybody ever get a text message along those lines? I see some nods. Yeah. What do you think whenever you get those? What is your initial response? Anybody? What's that? Do you just delete it? Right. Yes. Anybody feel the need to respond to them and say, hey, this is not Bob, or this is not Alice? Do we do that? Do you ever make that response? Yeah, okay. That's human nature, and that's exactly what social engineering does. Human nature to prey upon this, because what happens is our brains, we're also awesome at error correcting, we want to close the loop, okay?
Or they want to sell you something, and I say, please don't show up because I'll have a police officer.
Exactly, right. Well, in those cases, they're not necessarily trying to sell you something right away. Really what their main goal is develop a relationship. If you do respond, and for the record, we don't respond, we don't recommend responding. We recommend just deleting those messages, okay? No need to respond. As a short aside, a lot of the people sending those messages are actually in third world countries and actually are being human trafficked themselves. So we're learning about this in the cybersecurity industry. We're seeing this come out. They actually are going to very poor areas, and they're saying, hey, we have a job in technology. You can come work at this company and work in technology. And the people are saying, oh, great, I got a great job. Exactly, right. And yeah, and it's like, you know, they're there and they're actually kidnapped. They're actually being human trafficked. So the people sending those emails and texts generally are also under duress. They're not doing this because they want to. The people that are telling them to do it are the real criminals, and hopefully that they're caught. But we see those things, and we see the pig butchering is fattening up the victim. Hey, Alice, it's Bob. Are you picking me up at the airport? Oh, no, this isn't Alice. Oh, I'm so sorry. My assistant probably put your name in my phone wrong. I'm sorry to bother you today. How are you today? And what they'll do is they'll try to have it back and forth. They'll try to have, and you say, wow, this person actually, so they made an honest mistake, but they actually seem like a nice person. They might even send you a picture, and you say, wow, this person looks like a nice person. What they do is over time, they'll develop a relationship, and they'll text you every once in a while, and you think, oh, you know, I made a new internet friend here. And then they'll show you a platform for, we talked about cryptocurrency. You know, we don't need to know what that is, kind of a, you know, newfangled internet money, if you want to think of it like that, or digital money, digital currency. But they'll say, hey, I'm making some extra money. I'm working on this new trading platform. I'm making some extra money. You can try it out. Doesn't cost you anything. It's actually, you can try it out with play money. And lo and behold, you try it out and you make a couple dollars of play money. And then you say, well, hey, you know, can I put some real money in there? Once you do that, then they have you, okay? They do this over weeks or months, and it's a big trend. And it's not so much, we talked about fear, uncertainty, and doubt, trying to scare you, which, you know, we'll look at that example. But then there's also disarm you, befriend you over a long period of time. So we see those many, many reports. California actually has a page where people are able to post their stories about cybercrime and cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and so forth, whenever they were taken for money. And you read them, there's hundreds and hundreds of stories right along these lines. Every person on there said, I never thought it would happen to me. Okay, I really just didn't understand it. So this is another one. This is an example of a phishing email. And we see the subject will generally say something like, it seems that X is your password. Okay? So whenever those emails go out, what happens is you see that as a subject or as a first line. And that's really what builds up the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt. And it's like, wait a second, this person knows my password. My password was Fluffy22. I've used that password before, okay? Don't write that down, please. Please don't try that. I've used that password, and somebody who I don't know just emailed me and knows my password. So guess what I'm going to do? Everything else they say, I'm going to give credibility to. Okay, they're going to say, I set up malware on adult videos on a website. You visited the site. Okay, they're tracking, and I have a keylogger on your computer. And all of a sudden, all those things seem legitimate because I'm thinking, well, they know my password. Okay, they must have done this other stuff as well. So where we get those, there's many, many data breaches, and we'll show you how to see if you've been in a data breach. Spoiler alert, you have been in a data breach. We all have. They go through these data breaches, and they find passwords that you used to use. They have an email and a password pair. And they'll just send everybody. They'll send thousands, tens of thousands of people these emails. Okay, this is the phishing. This is the wide net. The net goes out over many, many people, tens of thousands of people. And people get those, and sometimes they get scared, and they respond, and they pay them. Okay? Whenever you get those again, delete. Okay? That's the most thing. Not engaging with the criminals is deleting it. Here's another example. This one is, you have a new fax. I mean, it's 2026. I don't know who's still sending faxes, but maybe somebody is. Okay, so you got a fax. Oh, no, I got some information. I better check out what this thing is. So you click on it. You click on a link, okay? And then all of a sudden, you completely short-circuited that whole skepticism of, I got an email from somebody I don't know, okay? And I clicked on that link that was from T. Hefner. Okay, T. Hefner at sydneyjames.com. That doesn't look like a company called eFax, but maybe we didn't look at that detail. Okay, and then it says, do not reply, zip form plus at mail.ziplogic.com. And it seems legitimate, right? It seems a little bit, you know, that might be it. Okay, then you click on the link and it goes somewhere that's malicious. So all of a sudden now you've connected with a site that maybe looks like a real platform and is not, and is going to start asking you for more information.
So this is a really interesting one because what we see here is what's on the other end of one of those links. Has anybody seen a website like this before? Anybody have a Microsoft account? And when you go to the website, that's what it looks like that you log into. Looks pretty good, right? Looks exactly like the Microsoft logon page looks. This is one of the very common things that bad guys will do is they will duplicate well-known web pages. So whenever you click on that link in an email, it's going to take you here, and what's your first thought going to be? Oh, I got to log in again. You don't even think. You just log in. You've seen that page a million times. Every time you go to log into your Microsoft account to get your email or Microsoft Word or whatever you need. So seeing that page, you don't even think twice. It's just automatic. Type your username, type your password, go. But I'm going to zoom in really close. Take a look at what's in the address bar of the website. Should a Microsoft login page be on myonline.kz? Is that Kazakhstan?
I think so, yeah.
I don't even know what .kz, I think it's Kazakhstan. Clearly, Microsoft does not have a login page on myonline.kz. But by the time you see that page, you're not even thinking, oh, I should probably look at the address bar, right? The page looks real. There's no misspellings, all the pictures are right. So what happens? This is not a real Microsoft site. When you enter your email and your password and you click OK, it might show up an error and be like, incorrect password. What are you going to think? Oh, I typed it wrong. Let's try it again, right? I always type my password wrong. It happens. But every time you submit something on this site, this is a website that the hacker controls. Everything you enter into that website is just getting saved onto their computer. So now, they tricked you essentially. They have your Microsoft username, they have your Microsoft password, because they presented a page to you that looks real, something that you've seen before, something that made you not think. So hopefully by the end of today, one of the things that you get from us is stop and think. If there's one thing we want you to remember out of this, it is always stop and think before you do something. Anytime we go on autopilot, that's when the bad stuff happens. And here's another good example. Anybody in here use Instagram on your phone to look at pictures? Maybe that's more of a kid thing. But if you log into the Instagram website, this is what it looks like. Can you tell the difference between those two images? The website on the left and the website on the right? Maybe not unless you get super close to the screen up here, but even from where you're sitting, it looks real, right? The word Instagram, like that's the same picture. The Instagram login has the same fields, email, name, username, password, the same sign up button, the same black images at the bottom. They literally duplicated it. And we blacked out the name of the website so you can't go there and get your stuff stolen. But really, that's the only way you're gonna know that it's different, is if you look at that address bar and realize, wow, that's supposed to say Instagram.com, but it actually says something else. When it comes to websites, you really can never trust what is in the meat of the website. You always have to look in that address bar to make sure the two things match. Just like what Mike was showing on those phishing emails, make sure the name matches the email address. We do the same, or we need to do the same on websites. Make sure what we're seeing on the website matches what the address bar says. Make sure it is actually a legitimate site.
Here's another one. Everybody that is ordered from Amazon, okay, or Walmart, or any of the big companies out there, the criminals know people are using these services. So whenever we look at this, we'll see, well, on its face, this looks pretty legitimate. If you got this and there was no kind of the red boxes and red lines and so forth, you might skip past a lot of the things that would indicate that this is something that could be fraudulent, okay? From the misspellings, okay? If you look at misspelling, it's A-M-O-Z-O-N. Remember how good our brains are at error correcting, okay? Most people, whenever you read that, it looks like Amazon, okay? Because your brain says, that should be Amazon. I see the Amazon logo. It's like a nice little happy smiling face. So it should be Amazon here. So that's what my brain tells me it is, okay? But in this case, it's misspelled. There's also a generic greeting, dear client. Now, using artificial intelligence, using open source, something called open source investigations, which, I teach a class at St. Francis called Open Source Investigations. We can take anybody and you would be absolutely shocked at how much information you can find out about a person just by using their name. You can find out relatives, you can find out their address, you can find out how much they pay in taxes, you can find out how much their water bill is, okay? You can go online and see somebody's water bill and see their property taxes and see all this stuff. So you can craft a very specific message, but sometimes a lot of these, the general phishing attacks are going to be more generic. So dear client, okay? Now we see investigation, it's spelled wrong, okay? And someone is spelled wrong, all right? Now, whenever we talked about fear, uncertainty, and doubt, one of the big things with anybody contacting you out of the blue is a sense of urgency. This has to be done now, okay? Not later. You got to do this now. You have 24 hours. Your Amazon account is locked. You have 24 hours to act. Wait a second, my account's locked? I'm not going to be able to get into my account? I better do something, okay? I can't put this off until next week, Like our taxes, we have to put off until they're, you're supposed to start working on them on April 14th, right? They're not due till April 15th.
Paper mail, a lot of us get paper mail now.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of paper mail.
yeah.
A lot of contributions, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I burned up a paper shredder recently, and I had to get another one.
Paper shredder, also a very good idea for anything, any documents. Very good idea to have paper shredders and shred that. That's a good idea.
I'm not trying to solve anyone.
Oh no, that's a great idea to make sure you have one.
You have a right to just throw it out. I mean, there are things and there are bills that are being passed that are coming up by the end of the month that I support. That, maybe a couple or a few. There's different things that people support. Organizations,
Oh.
Children's Hospital, different things.
Absolutely.
For what do you call it? Tax. You don't get it all. Maybe you don't get it all. High percentage back. Some of them you get a lot more back.
No, most definitely.
Tax advantage for different categories of your tax form.
So don't start working on your taxes until April 14th. Write that down. No. But the idea is that there is a sense of urgency. You better do this now. You better click on this link, and then you look at the link, and it says, well, amazon.com/account/security.html. Wow, that seems accurate, right? That seems like something Amazon would use. But then, whenever you hover over, and what we mean by that is, you take the little mouse, okay, take the little arrow, and you take the arrow and put it over that amazon.com/accounts/security. What you see on the bottom is it's actually going to a different site. It's not going to that particular site. Okay, it's going to tmagl.co/account/security. So you're going to a different account. What they will do whenever you hit that account, it will look very similar to an Amazon sign-in page, and you'll feel comfortable. It'll, like the one that Kevin was talking about with Microsoft, it will look like you're signing into Amazon. Okay? So you'll put your password, and then as soon as you do that, now they own your password and they own your email address because you just gave it to them. Okay, and you didn't even realize it. You didn't even realize what you're doing. Back in 2016, there was a breach at the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, and it was committed through a very, very similar process. John Podesta received an email, and it said, John Podesta, this is from Google, okay? We have found that somebody tried to access your account from Ukraine. We stopped it. Don't worry, we stopped it. However, you need to click on this link and you need to change your password. All of that seems very legitimate, right? Is anything in that story seem incongruent? Wow, Google security just let me know. They stopped somebody from Ukraine logging into my account. Great, thanks Google. And they're asking me to change my password. Oh, okay, these all seem very legitimate. So what he did was he clicked on the link. He typed in a new password. As soon as he did that, it said, put your old password, put your new password. Okay, as soon as he did that, now they had his actual password and what he thought was the new password. So then the bad people had access to his email address. They also changed the password to what he thought was the new password so that whenever he logged in, the story was still congruent. Now they had access to his entire Gmail account. So anybody can fall for these things. These are not, it's not an intelligence issue. It is something that comes with experience and awareness, okay? We have, if anybody could, who's in charge of the fire signal? If you could hit the fire alarm. We have a call to action, right? No, don't do that. But we have a call to action, okay? We want to look for things like spelling and grammar mistakes or errors. We want to look at who sent us this message, whether it's an email. Do I know this person? Okay, ask yourself always, do I know this person? If it's a text message, do I know this person? Okay, it's from an area code that I have no idea where it is. My father got a text message last week, and it said, it was a very detailed message, and it said, this is from the Philadelphia Parking Authority. You are due in court today at 9 o'clock to pay your parking ticket. It had a link on it, and it looked official. And I said, have you been in Philadelphia lately? He said, no. I said, delete. Don't worry about it. But it looked very official. It was preying on fear. So I said, look at the sender. Where did it come from? It came from a different area code. Okay, it wasn't congruent. The story wasn't making sense. Hover over the hyperlink. Take your mouse, the little arrow, put it over the link in an email. Better yet, if it looks like it's from Amazon, forget the email. Go to your Amazon account. Type in amazon.com. okay, or go to your phone on the app and see if there's anything through that. That way you know you're on the actual authentic version of the site, not what somebody said, this might be real. Look for threats or language if they're asking for immediate attention, okay? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, getting you to act. You got to do this within 12 hours, 24 hours. You have to do this immediately. You have to go to Home Depot, stop what you're doing, right? It's like Monopoly, right? Stop, don't pass go, or don't collect $200. Don't do anything. You have to go and buy some gift cards. You have to provide us these gift card numbers, or something harm will come to somebody you love, right? Harm will come to not you, but maybe a family member, a grandchild. Again, it is shocking how easy it is to find out information about anybody, including relatives, grandchildren, children, and so forth, and have a very detailed list where these people live. And you get a message that says, hey, your grandchild lives at 201 Main Street. We're going to go to your grandchild's house and harm them if you don't give us gift cards. Wow, okay, that's scary. And that's what the attackers will do. Like Kevin said, they're after money. They're not going to do any harm. They're generally not even in the country. But they scare you, and it feels real. Okay? If there's a link that's asking you for credentials, okay, your information, your password, any personal information, ignore those. All right? Never, ever send a password over email. Don't ever type your password into an email and send it.
So I promised at the beginning I was going to bring up some actual emails to show you some things to look for. So let me switch out of the presentation, go to our web browser now. So I know this is small. I'll zoom in once I get to the point that I want to, but this is my spam folder on my real email account. So I'm sorry if there's anything bad in here, but we all know the spam that we get. But here's one email that I want to bring up, because this email says that it is coming from Slonka K. That's the username I use for most things that I sign up for, my last name, my first initial. Apparently, I've been emailing myself. But if I zoom in here, take a look at this part at the top. Is yu0979 whatever at gmail.com my email address? Probably not. I know that's not my email address. But this looked like that's my real username. Looked like I sent myself something. Maybe I did it by accident. Maybe I do use McAfee antivirus on my computer. So that might have been another thing that I thought, oh, this could be real. But I checked the sender. I double check. The name does not match the email address. That's a clear sign. This is spam. I shouldn't even look at it any further. But we also see here, we saw the red box on one of the images earlier. This one's a gray box. Google is telling us this is probably spam. We should not ignore those warnings in our email when they tell us those things. Now I'm going to show, if you care. You don't have to care about this. This is like if you want to go really detailed into tracking down, is this real or not? I'm going to show you how to do this in Gmail for those of you with the Google Mail, and then in Microsoft Outlook if you happen to have a Microsoft email account. But in both places, you always have these little dots on the side to get to the more details of the email. So in Google calls this the original email. If you click that and you go to show original, this is not going to look pretty. But you get stuff that looks like this. This is kind of the behind the scenes of what emails actually look like to servers. But this is where you can go and kind of dig a little deeper to really look into the email that it came from, the name that it came from, if they match up. If you weren't able to figure it out just by looking at the email here, you could always go into those more details, and you have to sift through a little bit of garbage, but you'll be able to find it there. So if you're really questioning, did it come from where I think it came from, you can look for those emails and names in all of this stuff and just make sure they match up. And the same thing goes, this is a Microsoft email account here. So again, I'm going to click on those three dots, and Microsoft calls it the message details instead of the original message. So every company calls it something different, but every email provider lets you get to the same things. So again, we can look in here and see oh, this is coming from an Outlook.com server. That's a real Microsoft server. We can see the email that it came from and basically be able to track down all the same stuff that we wanted to look for in the email itself if we weren't able to see it there. So if you want me to show you that in person afterwards, if you didn't catch it, let me know. I'll be happy to bring it back up. It's just one more thing that we have in our arsenal to kind of stop and think and just double check the things are coming from where we think they're coming from.
So here's another example, and we talked about emails, and that's kind of an older, emails have been around for a long time. Most people are communicating via text message now, right? So you see this, how many people have gotten to where USPS, our staff cannot deliver your package because your house number's not on the address? You've gotten those, right? That's a very popular one. Because why? Everyone likes getting mail and packages, right? It's awesome. You get like a cool thing in the mail. But now I'm not getting it, so now I'm sad. Okay, wait, I'm supposed to get a package and I'm not getting it. I better dive into this. I don't want to ignore this. So one of the things we want to look at the 714 area code. Okay, I don't know where that is. I don't think the local postal service is using the 714 area code. Okay, and then we look at the website. It's matecialup.info and then a weird number letter combination afterwards. It doesn't say anything about usps.gov. Okay, so people like Kevin and I like to get these because we like to dive in to what it actually involves. Okay, so don't try this at home. Don't do this. We work generally in a sandbox environment or something that's separate from our main computers, a virtualized environment. So we can go to links, and even if they're malicious, nothing bad's going to happen to our computers. So I put it in there, and I said, let's check this out. Let's see what this looks like. And lo and behold, it looks like the U.S. Postal Service website. It looks very similar. So if I clicked on that link, I end up here, and all of a sudden, now they're going to ask me for some information about myself. Okay, they're going to start to ask for things. They're going to start to collect that information, okay, and maybe reach back out, maybe call, okay, and the address is there, and they're going to ask for some different things. Here's some other ones. I think everybody has, 100% of people here have not paid their Easy Pass, apparently, if we look at our text messages, right? Everybody's getting those as well. I was on the Turnpike one time, and I got one. I was like, wow, that's pretty wild. I'm on the Turnpike, and I didn't even pay. One of the things, and what are they preying on now? On the Turnpike, if you've been on the Turnpike lately, they're getting rid of the toll booths. Okay, that's kind of an initiative with the PA Turnpike, getting rid of the toll booths. And you drive, and they just have this overhead Easy Pass scanner that reads your Easy Pass as you go through. So it makes things a little easier. You can just drive, and it hits your Easy Pass. Or like I borrow Kevin's, and I, like to drive with that one instead. Shh, don't tell him. Okay, but so it makes it a lot easier. There's changes going on with this particular mode of billing. So you must pay for the Easy Pass lane toll by April 17th, 2025 to avoid fines or suspension. Okay, now I'm scared. I'm going to get fined. I'm going to get suspended. I might not be able to drive anymore. Okay, so I better do this. I better click on this link. I better pay. This is your final notice. This is a scary thing. Okay, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Let's scare you, and then give you an out. Okay, the out is just click on this. You must settle the balance within the next 12 hours to avoid serious penalties. Okay, I can't put this off like I can with my taxes. I better pay this immediately. Okay, forget what else I'm doing. Click on this, pay it. Okay, I'm in trouble. I better pay this. And it usually won't be a large amount either. It might be like $50 or $100. And you're like, oh, that's not so bad. I thought it was going to be worse. And all of a sudden you're out $50 or $100. The next one is about remote work. This is Lucy from Remex Human Resources. My impressive background, high-paying remote job. Oh, this is cool. Okay, they're going to pay me. $300 to $700 a day. Okay. Minimum monthly income of $10,000. Wow, this is sounding great, right? Click on the link. Engage with this person. And then all of a sudden, these things turn into stealing your information. Hey, we're going to hire you, but whenever you hire somebody, what do you need from them? You need their bank account information, right, to pay you. So that story is congruent. If I'm going to offer you a job, I'm going to get your bank account number because I have to pay you. So you provide it. And then all of a sudden you just provided your bank account number and your banking information and your social security number. Okay, so all of these things, delete. There's another one. We're conducting a short investor survey. Responses are confidential, anonymous. That seems legitimate. Seems like, okay, I can click on this. I just clicked on a link and I don't know who it is. 771 area code, I don't know where that is either. Okay, but I clicked on a link because it did seem pretty legitimate. Okay, and then next, Coinbase. We talked about cryptocurrencies. Okay, Coinbase is a platform to trade cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. All right, and you might get this and says withdrawal code is whatever it is. Don't reveal this code to anyone. If you have not, this is the important part, if you have not requested this, please call this number, this 1303 number. So our brains like to close that loop and say, well, I don't have a Coinbase account. I didn't request this code. And it says if I didn't request it, I better call them, right? So I call them and then I begin to engage with the criminal. The criminal begins to engage with me, okay? So they realize they have a live person. They have somebody that they're able to talk to and socially engineer and use those techniques on you to get manipulation of your information. For example, whenever Mark, his father, the attackers, the criminals had remote access to his computer. The way they do that is whenever they get you to click on a link, they say, a box is going to pop up, type in this code. They type it in. Okay, now that person has access to your device. They're able to control it. And like Mark's dad, they were moving the mouse on the screen. It's as if the person was sitting there. They have a remote access to your computer. Often you'll see those with help. You know, hey, this is Microsoft tech support. We need you to do something. Is your computer running slowly? Okay, we need you to run. Or we've found a virus on your computer remotely. We need to access your computer to clean the virus off, right? If anyone has ever tried to call Microsoft tech support, you will wait on hold for about 3 days, okay? Microsoft tech support does not call anyone ever. They might not even exist, okay? Same with the IRS. Anybody ever call the IRS, you're gonna be on hold for several days, okay? I'm not convinced that anybody actually works there in the customer service department. So they're not calling us. And the IRS is definitely 100% of the time not asking us to provide gift cards to pay taxes. But you see that. You see, hey, this is the IRS, you didn't pay your taxes, just go get a couple gift cards. And it's like, it's scary. It's like, wow, wait a second, I better pay this. I didn't realize that I needed Starbucks gift cards to pay my taxes now, but you know.
So this next really short video, I am going to try not to blast your ears with this. So I will try to keep the volume down. We'll see what happens. But this is going to be an example of phishing, of that voice phishing, somebody trying to trick you by talking to you.
Hello,
Oh, hello. Can I speak to Mr. Jones, please?
speaking.
Hello, Mr. Jones. My name is Kevin. I work for the Microsoft Cybersecurity Task Force based in Lambeth Road, London. The reason I'm calling is that your computer has been identified as having been infected with the new version of the Zeus virus, and your personal and financial data is at risk. Here at Microsoft, we're committed to ensuring that our customers are safe from hackers. We've therefore contacted you to advise you of the situation and to help you to remove the virus from your computer. I will talk you through the first steps you need to take so that we can remove the virus for you and make sure your data is safe. All you need to do is ensure you're in front of your computer and able to follow my instructions.
Would you give that person access to your computer?
Hopefully not, right? That probably wasn't even a real person talking. Right? With Mike had mentioned, with artificial intelligence now, it is very easy. You can just go to websites, type in what you want it to say, and it'll make it sound real. Probably was not a real person. But it was exactly what he was just describing, right? Microsoft calling you. That doesn't happen, right? Companies don't call us like that. But we get scared because if they call us and say we have a virus on our computer, we don't want that. Nobody wants that. I don't want you to raise your hand, but has anybody gotten a virus on their computer and it destroyed something, made your computer run slow, like something bad happened? It's an awful thing to have happen, right? So if somebody's gonna help us fix that, and they're gonna stay on the phone with us and walk us through the steps to fix it, why would we not do that, right? It just makes sense to get the virus off of our computer.
They give you a problem, okay? The problem is your computer has a virus. They also provide the solution. But we're going to fix it for you. So it kind of, you can see how it kind of toys with your emotions a little bit. It kind of jerks you in one direction. Hey, my computer has the Zeus virus, which is a real virus, all right? And then all of a sudden, but don't worry, we're here to help you. We're going to fix this for you. All you need to do is sit at your computer and go to this website and give me access for a couple minutes. I'm going to take care of it, all right? This is, whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, okay, AI-generated things. This picture, if you can see that, Kevin, you could zoom in a little bit there. That's my living room, and that's not a person that's in my living room, okay? That is not a person that's in my, I hope that's not, but this is an AI-generated picture. All I did, this took literally 20 seconds to do. I took a picture of my living room, okay, see my little cactus back there? It's a nice one. And I said, generate a picture of a shady-looking individual with a hoodie standing in my living room. That's what it looks like, okay? If you see that, you know, if you got a picture of your house, if you were away, and somebody sent you this, be like, wow, wait a second, somebody's at my house. Okay, if you want to check the next one too, if you want to hit that video, this is, again, my living room here, and watch the window on the right. Kevin, you want to play that again real quick there, just standing, looking out the window. Cactus still looking good? Okay. Oh. But if you watch on the right, it looks like somebody's walking past my window. That, again, took about 20 seconds to generate. Okay, and it looks real. If you sent that to somebody, if somebody sent that to me and said, hey, we've been watching your house, here's our guy walking around checking things out, I would be frightened. I'd be terrified. This was generated about a year ago. Artificial intelligence in video and audio and pictures has gotten immensely better. You can't tell the difference anymore between what's fake and what's real with a lot of the videos, okay? So that goes to developing the credibility of what the criminals are trying to do, okay? That's very credible. Wow, there's somebody walking outside of my house. Where would they get that picture? Have anybody ever looked to buy a house, okay, or purchase a house, or sold a house? Whenever you go on these real estate websites like Zillow, okay, you go on there, or Realtor.com, and you can see many, many pictures of the inside of a house, right? So house is for sale. Somebody could grab one of those pictures, make an AI-generated video or picture, and it looks like your house. And wait a second, that person's in my house, okay, or the outside of your house. So it's plausible, and it's getting more and more difficult to determine. Now, there's people that have become victims of these crimes that reach out for help, and they say, hey, they go on different internet forums and say, hey, I was victim of a scam. Can you help me? And there's something called a double victimization. Okay, if you are a victim of a scam, you want to receive help. And then what happens is they go on a website, and it says, this website purports to help people who have been victims of a scam. Right? Sounds good so far, right? We're victim advocates. They look really pretty. You put your information in, somebody contacts you and says, good news. There's a lot of people that have fallen for the scam. We actually have figured out a way to get your money back. Okay? So don't worry. There was a problem. We're going to fix it for you. We're here to help. Okay? So what they do is they ask for money. Okay? They're going to ask for some upfront money for expenses. They're going to ask for some personal information. It's called a double victimization. They actually go after victims. These are not good people that are doing this stuff. These are not good people that are doing cybercrime, and then also victimizing the people who have been hit before. So you'll often see that if you are a victim of a crime, somebody reaches out and says, hey, we can help you. Okay, or you might even get a flyer or an email saying, have you been victims of a cybercrime? We can help out with that. We can fix it. And then all of a sudden, you're giving them money too and saying, wait a second, you're not fixing anything. You're just making my bank account less. So going back to our brains error correcting. Anybody want to give this a chance? According to a research study at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. Okay, you read through that. And by the end, it looks normal. Right? You get to the end and it's like, wait a second. Those letters, it looks like, I don't know, the box of alphabets crashed into the turnpike or something, right? The letters are everywhere. But how can I read this? Right? How are we able to read this? Because our brains are really, really good at error correcting. Our brains are good. Whenever we start to think about it, sometimes we skip over the little details. And that's really what can help us out. Whenever we talk about awareness of potential things, phishing emails, text emails, looking at those details, diving into them. But yeah, try it yourself. Read those, and it's like, wow. It's like It all made sense at the end.
So if you haven't noticed, anytime there are important things we want you to remember, the slide looks like this.
Yes, sound the siren, please.
So when it comes to any of these crimes, here are some things that you can try and remember and then stop and think if you hear these. If you get a phone call and the first thing somebody says is, "Can you hear me?" Unless you're looking at your phone and you see that it's coming from somebody you know, but even that can be spoofed. You really can't even trust the caller ID on your phone either. Again, like Mike said, if this needs to be done immediately, if somebody tells you to keep something quiet, right? Don't say this to anybody. Or the big one, you need to pay using Bitcoin, right? Nothing legitimate is happening in the world using Bitcoin. I mean, there probably is, right? Like, that's a lie, but yeah. If anybody is asking you to do anything in Bitcoin, you can generally assume it's a scam. The only people who are going to use Bitcoin are people who want to use it themselves, who want to buy it. It's just like trading on the stock market. So if you want to use Bitcoin, if you want to buy it and play that game, awesome. But if somebody's asking you to use it, probably not a good idea. And there's another thing. Did you know there are actual ATMs out there for Bitcoin, for digital currency? If you go to the Galleria, there's one in there. Did you happen to bring the receipts with you?
No, I did not. But I have a couple of receipts. But yeah, like Kevin was saying, there's Bitcoin ATMs. There is Bitcoin ATMs around this area. Yes, a couple of people have seen them, right? What they are, you put cash in, and it gives you a slip of paper. It's like whenever I'm at the track, I bet on my horse, put my cash in, I get a slip of paper with my horse's number, okay? That never wins somehow. But that's what Bitcoin can look like. It is an electronic currency, but also there's a paper. You have a piece of paper. And what happens is they say, well, hey, go put a couple $100 in, get the piece of paper, take a picture of that receipt, send it to us. As soon as you do that, your Bitcoin is gone, okay? It has been taken away from you. So there are Bitcoin ATMs around. There might be some good use cases for Bitcoin. It's not all terrible, but usually about 98% of the time, it's not so good. Whenever somebody says, if you want to use Bitcoin, if they're asking, you're telling you to use Bitcoin, go to the Bitcoin ATM. That's where you hit delete.
So we mentioned this word a little earlier, malware. Anybody ever heard that word before? It's a combination of two words, malicious software. This is kind of the generic term for viruses and all the other bad stuff you can get on your computers and your phones. But in addition to having your information stolen, which is what we've been talking about so far, there can also be consequences on your computer, right? Like Mark had said in his story, they can install stuff on your computer. They could put viruses on there that do a wide array of different things. One, it could just break your computer, make it not work anymore. That's the way viruses used to work 30, 40 years ago. That's not how they work anymore, right? Everything today is about money. So what is this malicious software going to do? Typically, it's not going to look like it does anything. It's going to sit there in the background and it's going to watch what you're doing. And it's going to log what you type. Everything you type on your keyboard, they're saving. Every website you visit, they're taking a screenshot of it. So any information you have on your computer, they see. Every password you type, they now have access to all of your accounts because they're watching what you type. They can also, this third bullet point here, encrypt your files. So there is another term called ransomware. Anybody ever heard of that term, ransomware? So that is when you get a type of virus on your machine that encrypts all of your files, which makes them not accessible to you unless you have their password. And guess what you need to do to get their password? Got to give them Bitcoin, right? That's always the answer to get that password back. If you want your files back, go get $1,000 in Bitcoin and send it to us. Once we get that, we will gladly give you the password. Do you trust them? I mean, I don't know anybody who has ever gotten the password back. Maybe they will. They got their money. They don't care anymore. Or maybe they'll try to get more money out of you. Be like, oh no, the price just went up. It's now 2,000 in Bitcoin. So what we always tell the people is never pay the ransom. If your files get encrypted, never pay the ransom. But that only works in certain cases. So you're probably thinking, well, if you don't pay the ransom, how do you get all your data back? Because what do you have on your computer? Pictures of your family, you want those back. You may have, credit card information, bank information, mortgage information, stuff that you need to be able to live and go on with your life. You want all that stuff back. So you're all smart, or you're going to be by the time we finish this. What we want you to do is make sure that you back up all of your files. There are lots of ways you can do this. So we mentioned a couple here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can read some of them. So these first two are legitimate services you can pay for, small monthly fees, Carbonite or Crash Plan. There are lots of others as well, but these are backup services that you can install on your machine and on a schedule every day, every week, whatever. It'll back up your files to the cloud, to the internet somewhere. So if anything does happen on your machine, you can always go and get them back. Personally, I use Crash Plan, so I use one of the ones I'm recommending. But, maybe you have that Microsoft email account. When you have that, you also have access to Microsoft OneDrive. It's just a hard drive on the internet. Just copy all your files up there every once in a while to make sure there's a backup. If you have a Gmail account, you also have access to Google Drive. Copy all your files up there every once in a while. Legitimate companies that you can trust, it's okay to put your files up there like Microsoft and Google, as long as you don't give any bad guys your password. Right? If you do that, game over. But the goal here is if something bad happens to your computer, if you get that ransomware, if every file on your computer disappears or gets encrypted, you don't have to care anymore because all your important files are somewhere else that you can go get them. So the first two, Carbonite, Crash Plan, backup services, they do those things automatically. It's kind of set it and forget it. If you don't want to pay, you want to use the free things like OneDrive or Google Drive, then it's on you to remember to back up every once in a while to make sure you have the most updated versions. But in either case, free or paid, there are ways that you can back up your files to make sure you don't lose anything. And then, lastly, we mentioned there, if something bad happens to your computer, wipe it clean, start fresh. If you have somebody who's a tech person, just tell them, come over and start me from the beginning. You don't have to care anymore because all your personal, sensitive stuff is saved, right? It doesn't matter if they blow your computer away, you'll be fine. So, back up everything that you consider irreplaceable.
Can you back it up on like an external thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Mission Impossible, they carry these little things around. And this is my knowledge of computers.
We actually mentioned this right here, yeah. Yeah, so in addition to those online services, another way to go, if you have an external hard drive, many people call them thumb drives, the little USB drives that you can plug in, you can save them on that too. Usually we don't necessarily recommend that as the first option, just because those are easy to lose, right? What if you drop them? What if you put them in water and it dies? Put them in the wash because you forget to take it out of your pocket. Those things, there's more chance of losing, more chance of damage with external hard drives. Whereas if it's on the internet, on a company's computer like Microsoft or Google, they have thousands of computers. They're backed. You're never going to lose it, right? If you store it on a legitimate company's cloud service, it's never going away. They have backups upon backups upon backups. But if you have it on your own thumb drive, you may lose it. So yes, definitely a legitimate way to go. Not the first option we would recommend. But always think about what's irreplaceable to you. Family photos, definitely. Family videos, definitely. You don't want to lose that stuff. You don't have to back up every file on your computer. Just back up the things you care about.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one of the things we stress in class with our students is backups are essential. Now, everybody think back. Everybody's taken photos with their phones, right? And I would argue that probably one of the most valuable things on your phone is your pictures of your loved ones and yourself and so forth, and videos. How do you keep those things safe? Remember back in the day, whenever you would go get your pictures, you'd have, the film, you would get a picture and you would get it developed. What did they give you? Okay, you take it to the place. They gave you a what? A negative, right. They gave you a backup. We didn't even realize we were doing backups back then. You would get the photograph, but then you'd also get the negatives. Okay, so if anything happened, you could take that negative in and get your photograph remade. okay? Or you could look at it through the, up and hold it up and it looked weird. It's like, wow, this is crazy. But it was a backup. It was a way to protect ourselves. So whenever we take pictures on our phone, back them up as well. iCloud, okay, if you have an Apple phone, or through Google Drive if you have the Android phones. They back up your photos. Make sure that's turned on and make sure you know how to access it too. That way if you accidentally delete a photo on your computer or something happens, you lose it, it gets corrupted for some reason, you're still able to get those things. Because that's really, that's really our most valuable thing. We don't have the nuclear secrets on our computers, I think. Probably, hopefully not. I don't know, maybe somebody, don't put your hand up if you do. But you have pictures, and that's valuable. That's the things we want to care for. We can't trust our memories to possibly being lost. So we want to give you some actionable ideas too, some things that you can go out and realize, hey, this thing could be an issue, but I want to protect myself. How can we protect ourselves? Here are some actionable things that you can do, okay? Sid Crosby, right? One of the best hockey players ever, right behind Mario. But Sid Crosby. Crosby87 is not a great password, okay? That is not a great password, okay? Sid is great. His password is not, okay? We took a test, okay? And we'll show you how you can do this yourself, but then you should also never put your passwords into any kind of testing thing. Just use it as an example. The password test, Crosby87 is called a weak password by this tool. It would take about 10 minutes to crack this password, okay? It's about 10 minutes. So using this password is like leaving your key in the lock. Your password is weak because it contains a surname. Okay, so that's a very weak password. Even though it has uppercase letters, lowercase, and also numbers. Now, whenever we think about passwords, often, my favorite password, Fluffy22, also Pineapple1, right? My favorite pizza topping. Don't use that one either, please. They're not great passwords, okay? However, what about a passphrase? What if I said, Sid Crosby is number 87 on the Penguins, okay? That would take 13 million years to crack, okay? Or maybe about the time it'll take the Flyers to win another Stanley Cup, right? Or maybe the Pirates. No, they'll do well this year. But we want to think about phrases, a passphrase, okay? You don't have to use a word. You can use a phrase. It can be like anything. It could be Sid Crosby's number 87 on the Penguins. It could be I like pineapple on pizza. It could be anything that you think of. And it is immeasurably stronger. It's not going to be cracked, okay? And then you can have a different password. One of the big things, and don't raise your hands, but think in your minds, do I use the same password on different websites or different applications? Do I reuse a password? What you want to do is not do that, okay? Don't do that. Have a unique password. So actionable things that we can do whenever you leave here, okay? You can go home and say, I'm just going to make a list of all the different applications that I type a password into. Are they different? No? Okay, I'm going to change them. I'm going to go through and just change them. Have a unique password on every application that you use. And then you have made yourself a lot more secure. And the reason for that is, if I'm able to get one of your passwords, let's say on, I don't know, there's a data breach, and I see that you use the password Pineapple1 on a website. What I do is, as an attacker or a criminal, I would try everything. I'm going to try every website I can think of, a bank, okay, brokerage firms, insurance, hospitals. I'm going to try everywhere. I'm going to type in your email address and that password, and I'm going to see if it works. If you've reused that password anywhere, I'm also going to gain access to that account. Okay, I'm going to go to Netflix. I'm going to try that. Anything that possibly could take a password. That's something called credential stuffing. Okay, that's not going to be on the test. But what it is, how do you protect yourself? Have a different password on every single application that you could possibly use. Does that make it a little bit more difficult for yourself? Sometimes it does. It does. It makes it more difficult, but it makes it a lot more difficult on anybody that's trying to victimize you. So it's a little bit of things that we can do. Yeah, it's a little harder, but we put ourselves in a lot safer position.
So what I want to do now is bring up one of those websites to test how good a password is and just show you how you can make a password that is, I don't want to say unbreakable because you should never say stuff like that, but unbreakable. So let's take a look at a password that Microsoft says is good. It meets their requirements for a strong password. So the password I typed is lowercase abc, uppercase abc, 123. as far as most companies are concerned, that is a strong password because it has 3 of the 4 types of characters: uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters. I have 3 of those 4. It's at least 8 characters long, that's 9. And if you look, so this number down at the bottom, I know that's a little small, but I can't fit everything on the screen and type the password at the same time. But for those of you in the front row, pay attention to this number down at the bottom. That is the number where it's going to tell you how fast a really fast computer, a type of computer that the hackers would have, would take to break this password. Right now, this good password can be broken in 2.29 minutes. Watch what happens though. All I'm going to do to the password is start typing periods, just one at a time. Watch that number. If I add 1 period, it's now going to take 1 week to crack. If I add another period, almost 2 years. If I add another period, almost 2 centuries. Look at the password. All I'm doing is making it longer. That is all it takes to make a secure password. Make it long. That's why what Mike said, pass phrases, make them sentences. They are easy for us to remember, but because they're long, computers are never going to be able to break them. So here's another example of what I tell my students a good password might look like. My house is the color dog, exclamation point. Why do I say that's a good password? Well, 1, it's 26 letters long. And length being the best thing possible, that's a really long password. 2, even if somebody knows me and they know things about me, they're not going to be able to guess that password because it doesn't make sense, right? Dog is not a color. But for me to remember that, pretty easy to remember, right? You're not going to have any trouble remembering that and typing it in later. And it does have 3 of the 4 types of characters. There's an uppercase, there's lowercase, there's a special character. And you notice I even use spaces. Many websites and programs let you have spaces in passwords. So try it. And if they don't, just do the same thing without the spaces, right? Just write the sentence and don't put spaces in, no big deal. But the goal is use sentences for your passwords. So if there's one thing about passwords we can ask you to do when you leave here, go change all of your fluffy 22 passwords to things that are sentences. Make them long. Yes. If you wouldn't mind, would you mind coming up to the mic? That way they can get it on the video. Or, Mike, could you take the mic back to her?
I'll take the mic and the mic. How about that?
Okay, you said about using like whatever it was, Fluffy who?
22.
Okay, and then we use Fluffy 22 on all of, or a large amount of our accounts. If you use that long sentence, which is harder to get hacked, but is it okay to use that long sentence on a lot of the accounts then?
It is not, and here is why. So there's 2 reasons that you don't want to use passwords more than one time. One is what we just talked about with computers being able to crack them. But 2 is the more important reason, and it was the whole first half of our presentation here, phishing and social engineering. It is much easier to trick you into giving somebody your password. So if you fall for that, if you make that mistake once, it doesn't matter how long your password is, you have still given it to the bad guys. So that's really the reason why we say don't use your password in more than one place. Always have a different password everywhere, because tricking a human is so much easier than hacking a computer.
Also, we think about our passwords. They are known by us, but they are also stored by whatever application that we're working with, right? That company or that organization has representation. They don't have the actual word, but they have a representation of that word. If they are not good stewards of their data, which is our data, okay, if those passwords are stolen, there was a breach, everybody familiar with LinkedIn, the professional networking platform. They had a breach back in, I think 2012. 82 million passwords were stolen. So the attackers had all these passwords. So they were able to reverse engineer those passwords and figure out which password connected to which email address. So then, even if you had that was a great question, even if you had that very long passphrase, now it's been discovered on LinkedIn website, and if you use it elsewhere, you know what? I have your email address, now I have your password. I'm gonna go try that everywhere else. I'm gonna try it at your bank. I'm gonna try it at your email account, okay? Because if I can get your email account, right? And you definitely, even if you have some overlap, your email account should always be unique. Because think about it, has anybody ever forgotten their passwords? And you say, yeah, no one, right? No one has ever forgotten a password. What do they say? Well, to reset your password, enter your email address, right? We'll send you a link. Well, if I'm an attacker and I have access to your email, wow, I just won. I go to your bank and say, hey, sorry bank, I forgot my password, but I have your email. So I said, send me that link. I will click on it, and now I have your bank password as well. So your email password is super important. You always want to make sure that's a unique password, okay?
If you have a unique password for each account, like hundreds, I think you'd need a password keeper to keep them straight. I mean, that doesn't make sense that you would have, fluffy dog dot, but you would probably need a password keeper. I mean, we use the same password a lot. We changed it up a little bit, but it's just impossible to have a unique password for each account we have.
Excellent observation. Absolutely. We're going to go over a solution for that, but great, and that's something that people run into. Say, well, wait a second, I have 100 passwords. Am I supposed to remember that? Am I supposed to hire a personal assistant to manage my passwords? Okay, that's option number 2. Option number 1 will be much better. We'll discuss that as a way to really help yourself out, make life a lot easier. Write them.
Oh, please don't write them all down, please, please.
On a Post-it note.
So Mike had mentioned about passwords being stolen, right? Websites get broken into, and through no fault of your own, your password has been stolen. There is a legitimate website, so you can go here if you want to check, called haveibeenpwned.com. Now, that's not a misspelling. It's not own, O-W-N, it's pwn, P-W-N, right? Cyber people, we spell things stupid just to be funny. So haveibeenpwned, P-W-N-E-D.com. If we go there, this is what it looks like. And all it is you enter your email address. So they're not really stealing anything from you. But you put your email address in, and it will check all of the known data breaches to see if your email shows up there. It's a really quick way to let you know that, yes, your password has been found by somebody because the website you use has previously been broken into. So let's try Bill Gates at Microsoft.com. Let's see if his email has been in any data breaches. 79 of them. Awesome. And then there used to be, they may make you pay for it now. Oh, these are, sorry, they just changed the way the website looks from last time. If you scroll down, you will be able to see each of the data breaches that your email address shows up in. So bgates at Microsoft.com was in the alien text-based stealer log breach in February 2025, and that breach has the email and the password. So if you put your email in here and you start seeing results show up, it's probably a way for you to know you should go change your password. If you use that password that it mentions here on other websites, go change it. Or just go change it for all the websites that you use. The last thing you want to do is forget to change a website, and then that's the one that somebody breaks into. So I wouldn't check this every day. Like, this is not something to worry about, day in and day out. But if you've never done this before, go check it. Put your email address in. If you see results and you know that you haven't changed your password in a few years, maybe go change your passwords.
And you can check not only your email account, but your friends, your family, your loved ones, okay? Anybody, you can go on there, just type it in there and see. And, you have kids, grandkids, and say, hey, just wanted to let you know, you were in a data breach. Just make sure you change your passwords. So one of the best things we can do is protect our own security. The second best thing is also protect the people around us, right? Because that makes everybody better. And it's a really simple thing. Anybody can go on that site. It takes 3 seconds to check there, maybe 4 seconds to change your password, and then you just made your life a lot easier and a lot safer. Because think about it, yes, it's a small hassle now, but it's much better than a big hassle down the road whenever you have to deal with hours or days or weeks or months of trying to get money back or dealing with whenever something bad happens. Much better to deal with it first.
So let's keep going and give you some more things that you can do to keep yourself safe. So social engineering, tricking people, some of these we've mentioned before. Nobody will ever legitimately ask for your password over the phone or in an email. If they do, probably up to no good. Even if they do ask, never put your password in an email. Never email your password to anybody. Never email your bank information to everybody. Never email anything sensitive to anybody. If you know how to encrypt files, that's not something we're going to demonstrate today, but if you know how to do that and put a password on them, that's a legitimate way to send it via email. But if you don't know that, just don't send personal data in email. It's just best to stay away from it. But the last thing we're going to have a couple slides showing you is how to make sure whenever you're accessing websites that the website is secure, that when you enter that username and password, it's not going to get stolen by somebody, monitoring your traffic. So what we always tell people, there are 2 things that we can look for in our web browser, and we'll show you how to do this. One is at the beginning of that address bar where you normally type in Amazon.com or whatever, HTTP. If you see HTTP without the letter S, that's not good. You want to make sure that the website starts with HTTPS. The S stands for secure. And that's the way that you know that anything you send through that website is encrypted and nobody's going to be able to monitor it and steal it. And some web browsers have removed this feature, which I think is awful, but there also used to be a little picture of a lock, like a padlock, by the address bar as well. Some of them are getting rid of that now, but you can still always look for that HTTPS. So when you do that, here's an example within Google Chrome. So let me zoom in. Here is what you look for. Here's that little padlock icon. Here's the HTTPS at the beginning of google.com, letting you know that anything you type into that website is encrypted between your computer and Google's computer. So if you see that, you can generally be made aware that it's safe to enter your username and password. If you were to click on that padlock, you could even see more details. It'll tell you google.com is secure. And you could click on that and get crazy details about the security to let you see that their security is actually for, anything google.com. This is one of those things like with email, we said make sure the name and the email match. This is just another one of those things. Make sure that and the website that you're going to match. Make sure that they're the same. And the security certificate doesn't say hacker.com when you think you're on google.com. It's just one more thing that you can check. And you check that by clicking on the padlock, and it will bring up those extra details. So, just some calls to action for the last couple slides. Drive these points home. Passphrases. For your passwords, make them long, make them sentences. The best thing you can do is more than 16 characters, which if you make a sentence, it's going to be more than 16 characters. But more than 16 characters will generally mean a computer will never break it in any of our lifetimes. Don't reuse passwords. And then here's the answer to your question, sir. Use a password manager. If you do have 100 passwords, nobody's going to expect you to remember 100 different passwords. But there are tools out there, and here are 3 of them if you want to write them down. 1Password, the number 1 password, and LastPass. These 2 are cloud-based, so they're websites that you would go to. But they're 2 very well-known websites. So you go here, you make a master password that you need to log into that website, and then that website keeps track of all of your other ones. So every time you want to log into Amazon, you go to LastPass first, log in there, and then copy and paste your Amazon password. That way you don't have to remember 100 of them. Now, if you don't like the idea of putting all your passwords into a service online, This last one, KeyPass, this is a program that you can install directly on your computer, and it doesn't touch the internet. So if you don't want your passwords to be on the internet, you can install KeyPass, and it's a local password manager to keep track of everything for you on your computer. Now, again, just like with backing up files, the downside to that is if something happens to your computer, you just lost all your passwords. Whereas if you use a cloud-based version, they're safe forever because those machines have 1 million backups. They're not going to lose your data. But it's up to you. Another thing, I'm surprised we haven't mentioned this word yet today, risk. Cybersecurity is all about risk and how much risk you're willing to take. How much risk are you willing to take with your passwords, that your computer's going to die and you lose them versus keeping them online and maybe a hacker breaks into LastPass and gets all your passwords. There's risk both ways. You just have to decide how much you're willing to take. And then lastly, when you're browsing websites, before you enter your sensitive information, look for that HTTPS, look for that lock. Don't use the website if either of those are missing.
One other thing about passwords. Anybody ever call their bank? Anybody ever call your bank and ask for information? Anybody? Yeah, probably most people have. There's something you can do with banks that's pretty interesting. You know, we talk about passwords and think about them as a way to go online. Okay, I'm going to go to an internet website. I'm going to go to an application. You can also, most banks will do this. You can also put in a password or a safe word on your phone banking relationship. So you can go to your bank and say, hey, could I put a code word if somebody calls in? So if I call in, they're going to say, what is your code word? Okay, they're going to ask you for this code word. Okay, so really, really good idea if you're ever calling your bank for information. Because if you think about it, you know, we talk about account numbers, right? What is on a check? What is on a check? You hand somebody a check. It is your bank account number, right? It is your name, your address. So maybe somebody calls up the bank and says, hey, I want to find out. Here's my account number, okay? Banks do a great job. Banks are pretty forward with identifying. They do different process. Every bank has a different process, but they want to make sure you are who you say you are. But if you put that additional, say, go to your bank and say, I would like to put a code word if I call in, okay, over the phone. Some people maybe never call a bank. Some people do. But it's a nice thing to have. Most banks will offer that service as well, okay? And then, you know, we talk about password managers. I use a password manager, and we use password managers because we have many passwords. And you might say, well, wait a second. If I'm putting all my passwords into one location, is that safe? Okay, and then we think about that word, the risk that Kevin said. Okay, it's a lot safer to do that and have a very strong password on your, say, LastPass account. Okay, so you want to make sure you have a very good password on that, and you want to do something else, something we haven't mentioned yet, that is very, very important. It's probably one of the most important things that we will talk about. It's called multi-factor authentication. And yes, it is annoying. It is annoying. And I hear yes, right? Can I get an amen? Yes, it is annoying. Multi-factor authentication is very annoying for us as people who are accessing our own data. But guess who else it's annoying for? Anybody trying to victimize us. It's really annoying for them because they can't victimize us as well. Okay? Multi-factor authentication, if you're not familiar with it, whenever you type in your username and you type in your password and you think, now I get to access my account, and it says, not yet. It says, I am going to text you a code. Or we're going to look at an authenticator on your phone, maybe an application that pops up a little 6-digit number, and you also have to type that number. And you say, oh, I got to type in a number now. This is like 6 seconds out of my life that I want back, right? That's okay, because it made your life much, much better. Multi-factor authentication. If you have accounts and you're able to set up multi-factor authentication for this, particularly the bank accounts, okay? Anything involving money, your credit cards, do that. Yes, it is annoying. It will protect you. It's one of the top things you can do. Long passwords, great. Multi-factor authentication, even better, okay? Because if somebody gets your password, if I get your password or anybody gets your password, they type it in, now they can't access it unless they also have your phone. Okay, they also need your phone. So that's going to protect you. Generally, it's a text message. It'll pop up. There's also authenticator apps where you can look on it and you click on it and it shows. Kevin, I think you have a picture come, yeah, that would look something like the one on the left there or the right. It would say the Authenticator app, and here's that character, and you see the little 14 in a circle. That's a countdown. It changes about every 30 seconds. Okay, so you just type that in whenever you log into your accounts, and you are much, much better place as far as security. Yeah, it's annoying, but do it, okay? That's why the alarm is there. The sirens are probably going off right now as we speak, talking about how important multi-factor authentication is, okay? And it might involve an inquiry, going to the company, going to the bank and asking them, being proactive. Hey, can I put multi-factor authentication on my account whenever I log in? They'll hopefully say, sure, we'll help you do that. We'll help you get that set up so that if anybody ever gets your credentials, they're not going to be able to get into your account.
Yeah, so notice here, this is the first one I put text in red. Make sure you turn this on. If you have online banking, the banks force it on you. You don't have a choice. But every other website has it as well. Your email lets you do it, you just have to go looking for it. Amazon lets you do it, you just have to go looking for it. You have to go into your account properties. So take the time, when you go home today, take the time, log into accounts that you care about. And what do I mean accounts that you care about? Maybe you don't care about Amazon, because who cares about shopping? But why does a bad guy care about Amazon? Because Amazon probably has your credit card saved. So if they can break into your Amazon account, now they can drain your bank account because your credit card's there. Think about all the other places online that also have your credit card saved, or any other sensitive information that you don't want people to have. Those are the sites you want to make sure you have multi-factor authentication turned on with. Now, this is the best way that Mike just showed you, having the app on your phone. Text messages are good. We can go into detail if you want of why they could possibly be bad to do the text message route. The app on your phone is the better route, but as long as you have one way set up where you have to enter this code in addition to your password, super important. So important that I put a second siren up here. We cannot stress enough how important multi-factor authentication is. Enable it on every online account you have. And seriously, please enable multi-factor authentication on every account that you have. If there is anything that we've talked about today that will do the most for protecting you online, this is it. If you leave here and only do one thing that we tell you to do, this is the thing. Go do it on every account that you have.
It's literally a 3-alarm situation, okay? You saw the 3 alarms. It is important. That said, guess who else knows that multi-factor authentication is very important to use? Is criminals, okay? They know this as well. They will try to get that code. They know a lot of people, if you have it on your bank, okay? Guess what? Now, let's say I have your information. I have your bank account. I have your email address and your password to your bank. And I know as soon as I hit enter, it's going to send you a code, right? I know this as a criminal. I hit enter. You get a code popped up on your phone. You now said, well, it wasn't me. Somebody's trying to access my account, okay? So what I would do if I was a criminal, okay, which I'm not, but if I was a criminal, I would type in your email address, type in your password on the bank's website, and then I would call you. And guess what? I'm going to ask you for that number. I know it's going to pop up on your phone. And I'm going to say, hey, this is so-and-so from your bank. Somebody has tried to access your account. I know this is kind of out of the blue. I'm going to send you a code right now on your phone. I need you to read it back to me. Okay, I want to verify that I'm talking to the correct person. Okay, so I'm going to say verify correct number. Okay, I'm going to send you a code. You ready? Yes, I'm ready. Okay, I hit enter. That code gets sent to you. And I said, now if you could read that code to me, I want to verify you for security purposes. And what do? You say, oh, the number I just got is, and you just read off the code, okay? So with the caveat, they don't have your physical phone. Never, ever give that number. And a lot of those text messages will say on the bottom, don't ever share this with anybody, okay? Very important concept because the bad guys know about this. They know about people using multi-factor authentication, and they will try to get that code in other ways. Okay, so a couple resources. We have awesome resources in Pennsylvania. Scams complaint at the PA Attorney General's office. Okay, you can go to submit a complaint. You go to the scam and fraud alert at pa.gov agencies. Don't worry about if you don't have this information, you don't want to remember everything every link. The slides will be available. You can email Representative Rigby's office. You can email myself, Kevin, Mark. We will get you the slides. Is there any way to put these on the website?
Yeah, we can put them up on the website. If they can't just even call the office,
Okay.
if you provide us the links, we'll provide them for those that don't want it on the computer. We'll print out and have hard copies in the Crescent office. They can stop and pick up. And yeah, we can share this on our site.
Even better. Yeah, absolutely. And then also the AARP, ARP, okay? ARP, right? Our friends at ARP. They have a site. You can go on there and you can, for scams and fraud, a helpline. Okay, so there's resources. If you feel like, hey, I've been victimized, okay, or I know somebody that's victimized, there are places both within the state government and then also with the AARP to be able to help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. Now, everybody remember G.I. Joe, right? The best cartoon ever from the 80s, right? At the end, they would always have the message, right? And now you know, and knowing is half the battle, all right? So my favorite cartoon, and we have G.I. Joe there. So knowing is half the battle. Awareness is important. It's very, very important to be aware of these things. It's important also to take action, to go in, do those basic blocking and tackling things, okay? Change your passwords, make them complex. They don't have to be 700 characters long, okay? Just make sure you have multi-factor authentication turned on. Make sure you have different passwords on every application that you have, okay? Those little things can really, really protect you, those basics. That really helps out. So I think we have time for questions too. This is a topic that will generate a lot of questions. Feel free. Anybody ask away.
So, a question. Is it okay when the computer, when you're on your laptop and it says, do you want me to remember this password and stuff on the computer whenever you sign in? And that makes the next time when you sign in, it just pops right up. Is that good or is that bad? Because we're not getting that multi-factor authorization that way, but.
That is a great question. It is bad. Yeah, it is bad to have the web browser remember your login for you. And the reason it's bad is because if an attacker is able to get access to your computer, if you accidentally click on one of those links and now they have access to your computer, that data is saved on your computer. It's very easy to read that back. So if you have 20, 30, 50 passwords saved in your web browser, all it takes is you one time clicking on a bad link, they can dump all those passwords. Now they have all your passwords instantly.
So how do I get that to shut off then and not do that? Like if I've already left them do that once.
So it's going to be different depending on everybody's web browser, but whatever web browser you use, you'll go into the settings of your web browser, and there will be a security section with an option to turn off. Most of them call it remember passwords. So you look for something about remembering passwords and you just turn that off and it gets rid of them.
Thank you. Where did you say that was at again?
You'll have to find where the settings are in your web browser. So usually it's like the 3 dots or something on the side, go to the settings, and then you're going to look for the setting for remembering passwords.
And what's interesting with that is sometimes the things that make life easier for us also make life easier for people trying to victimize us. Okay, so yeah, in that case, to have the browser remember the passwords on the scale of 1 to terrible, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's not recommended. And if you ever want to see, you can go into your browser. It's usually up in the right-hand section. There's like a settings, and it'll say passwords. And you can look in there and see a list of all of the passwords that are saved in your internet browser, okay? So if you can see that, perhaps somebody else can. Maybe if somebody physically gets access to your computer, they could look at that, or if they get remote access to that as well, they can go in and see all your passwords. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier of a target. That's why things like password managers, having a separate, like a LastPass or Dashlane or 1Password, having those as a separate application is recommended. Okay, that's going to be something that will be even more so reducing of that risk.
Can I jump in here for a second real quick? I don't know if that's on. Is that on? There we go. I'm going to come back to this gentleman over here. You mentioned earlier about a scanner or a shredder, having a shredder, right? Did you mention about that? Super important. If you folks are getting mail and you're getting credit card statements and bills coming in, even credit card applications, shred that stuff. I can't begin to tell you how many times the bad guys and gals will come raid through your trash, get that information, and you know how much information they just gained about you? They can go online, apply for all kinds of stuff in your name that you don't even realize is happening. Get that thing, get that shredder, work that thing, shred everything that you have, because those documents will find their way out. So that's very smart and important. So I wanted to come back to that.
Yeah, great point. Our information is not just digital, it's also in the physical world. If you're buying a shredder, it's a good idea to buy one that also can handle staples, because as somebody who has run staples through it by accident, get one that'll handle staples. Or else you'll be buying a new shredder. Yeah, even better, yes.
Is it also worthwhile to pay for these programs like McAfee or Norton or PC-Matic? Is it worth putting them on and paying for them?
Back in the day, I would have said yes. 20 some years ago, yes. With the advent of Windows 7 and newer Windows operating systems, it comes with a really good antivirus already called Windows Defender. So as long as you don't turn that off and you make sure that it's doing the updates when it needs to do the updates, that is a good enough antivirus that I would not recommend paying for a second one like McAfee or Symantec.
Yeah, Windows and Mac both have really, really good antivirus built in. So that's one of the, generally don't love Microsoft, but that's one of the things that they've done a good job of over the years. I think you had a...
On that same subject, isn't there something that I was told it was Windows 10 that you need to go in and, I don't know, my brother told me about it.
But if you're talking about Windows Defender, the antivirus?
Yeah.
Yeah, Windows 10 has it, Windows 11 has it. So if you have a computer that you've bought in the past 10 or so years,
Okay.
use the antivirus that comes with it.
Okay.
Yeah, a great question, or a great point about Windows 10 and Windows 11. If you're using a Microsoft-based operating system, Windows 10 actually has gone end of support. What that means is they're not doing any more security updates for Windows 10. So if your computer is running Windows 10, it's not getting any security updates anymore as of October 15th of last year. So make sure it's a free upgrade to Windows 11, but make sure your computer is running Windows 11 and not Windows 10.
Okay, I think that's what my brother was talking
Maybe
about.
that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something you could just check. You can go in and check. And if you go in, there's a little, do you want to show the command line, like just WinVer, where you could just check it yourself? You could do this on your own computer and check what version you're on, okay? You could type in WinVer, Windows version, and it'll tell you, okay, I'm on Windows 11. If it says Windows 10, that means you just have to upgrade to Windows 11. If it says Windows 7, that's very bad, okay? So call us.
I don't know. I think he said something about you have to do it by October.
It was last October that
Oh, it
Windows
was
10.
last October.
Windows 10 went end of support. Microsoft stopped coming out with security updates. So you want to be on the most recent version. So you make sure. So just type in WinVer, on the little command line there, and just see make sure it says Windows 11. Yes.
I have subscribed to McAfee. I think it's good, and it says the firewall. So what is that? What's the firewall? I'm protected with the firewall.
A firewall is kind of like a bouncer, kind of like a bouncer at the bar. It's going to stand there between you and the internet, and it's going to possibly allow some things in it or possibly stop other things. Okay, so it is kind of a barrier between letting bad things come into your computer. That doesn't mean it's infallible. It's not the only thing you need. It is part of a good defense strategy. So that's a good thing to have.
One question. Due to circumstances beyond my control,
That's not a good way to start this question.
I'm very illiterate when it comes to computers in general. I'm understanding all of this and stuff, but whenever you start saying about saving things and the cloud and whatnot like that, it just went right over my head. What kind of suggestions do you have for me? Are there courses out there that I can learn how to use a computer? I mean, I can muddle my way through, but I feel uncomfortable. And I understand about the phishing and I don't want to get scammed, but I also want to be able to use my computer more efficiently, more safely. Is there any place that you know of that will teach Computer 101?
The quick answer is yes. Most colleges, universities around this area do have courses for not students, like for the community. You know, they're $100, $200, whatever. But so yeah, I would check out and see, you know, which one is offering one at a time that works for you. But there are a number of those that you can find at the various colleges around, you know, Evansburg, Johnstown.
To begin with, but, you know, backup files and clouds and everything just goes.
No, absolutely. It's really sometimes we get into the weeds. Whenever you hear, you know, cloud computing is a term that's been around for a while, and it's kind of like this mysterious thing. Whenever you hear cloud computing, think that is someone else's computer. Okay, it's just being stored on a computer that's not mine. That's the cloud right there. I would also say your local library. You know, my favorite thing in the world is the local library. Contact your local library. See if they have any classes for computers for beginners. YouTube is an incredible resource. I referenced being able to do the Rubik's Cube. I learned on YouTube. I just want to watch videos. So really, really good resource, and it's free. But yeah, check with your local library. I would say that's a great place to check out.
I want to bring up about this viruses and stuff. There's a guy by the name of John that works on computers, an older fellow in Portage here, and probably some of you people know him. But he told me the best thing to get for Windows 11 is called a disk cleaner, and it's a little brush. It looks like a dustpan brush, and I don't know if you are familiar with that. But I use malware and I use CCleaner for years, and I went to this disk he showed me, and it works great. And then the Microsoft Security Essentials updates, and that disk cleaner that he has with that brush, that dustpan brush, works great. And I don't know if you are familiar with that cleaner or not at all, but
I am not. No.
Yeah.
I am not familiar with it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a great program, that disk cleaner that he has, you know, and I have no issues with anything of that since I've been using that now for a while.
Well, there's a ton of technologies out there. There's a lot of different things. So it's good, you know, examples from a friend, always good to hear about. If it worked for somebody else, maybe it worked for you as well. There is something called CCleaner.
It's different than CCleaner, because I had CCleaner. This is called, it has a little like a dustpan brush on the bottom of it, and it like cleans your disk out and everything. And I had no problems with this at all. You know, I wished I could show it to you when I'm on my computer here, you know, on my phone, but that's it.
It gets the viruses right off.
But the other thing I want to ask you about, and I know this is a little bit off, I have phone scams calling me, and I've been dealing with this for a year now. And they said, like, first it went from a Medicare, Medicaid thing, and these scammers keep calling me and saying I'm James Lowry. And I had my phone number for 10 years now. James Lowry, James Lowry, James Lowry. I'm not James Lowry. Well, I kept blocking them through AT&T, through they're blocking their armor and that. But this problem keeps occurring to me. And then they started with James Lowry that I won like millions of dollars to Publishers Clearinghouse and through Reader's Digest, and it's ridiculous. And I understand Publishers Clearinghouse is a business. Well, I traced this guy, and I was getting him from New York and Florida. Well, this James Lowry, there was a guy by the name of James Lowry who lived at a church where I live, and he died in his beach where this call came from. He lived in this beach area where this call came from Florida. So it's really weird, but you know, I don't know how else to stop this. I mean, I keep blocking and blocking and blocking it, and I still get these calls for James Lowry. And
yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
You can just keep blocking them, and then you could contact your phone provider and just ask them if there's anything they can do to help. But unfortunately, you can't stop somebody from calling you from different numbers.
Yeah.
So you could change your phone number if you wanted to do something like that too. That would be maybe an extreme approach, but if it really bothers you, maybe that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
You had a question over here too.
Just out of curiosity, so we didn't grow up with cell phones. The kids that now have grown up with cell phones, are they more knowledgeable about these kinds of things?
No.
Yes and no. Maybe sometimes they're aware of it, but do they actually do these things? A lot of times, no. And also, you know, everybody in here, you know, or a lot of people maybe have grandkids, and everybody, you know, we love our grandkids and so forth, but they're using the internet a lot. They're putting a lot of their own video, their own voice on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on all these different things. So attackers, you know, we talked about artificial intelligence. It is incredibly simple to spoof somebody's voice Okay, there's a website. It's called fish.audio if you ever want to mess around with it. Fish.audio. You can read a sentence or a paragraph and then give it another paragraph. It'll read it back in your voice, and you'll be like, wow, that's wild. So with so many young people putting their likeness, their name, their audio, their video on the internet, it's very, very simple for an attacker to spoof that. Now, as grandparents, if you're a grandparent or nieces and nephews and so forth, people have gotten calls before in their grandchild or in their child's voice. And they say, well, I know their voice. That's my loved one saying, I'm in trouble. Okay, I have been kidnapped. I have been arrested. I need you to help me. Okay, this is a possibility. It's not super common, but it's becoming more common now. So you might get a phone call from a number that is a spoof number that actually looks like it's coming from your loved one in their voice. I've heard stories of people, they were sitting right next to their loved one, and they got a call and saying, hey, Grandma, I've been arrested for drugs. I'm in England. I need help. And they're sitting right next to their grandchild saying, oh, okay, well, I know this one's fake. But if the person wasn't there, you might fall into that pit, right? That fear, uncertainty, and doubt. What do we want to do more than anything in the world is help our loved ones, right? Whenever that happens, the red alert goes on, right? That's a 5-alarm situation, and we want to help and get out of it. So, yes, to answer your question, though, kids these days, they are aware of these things, but because they grow up with it, they're so comfortable, sometimes they completely ignore the safety precautions. Okay, so sometimes people that are maybe not as tech savvy are more protected just because they're a little bit more diligent, because maybe they don't have the understanding. But it's a generational change. It's pretty wild to watch.
So we want to be respectful of everybody's time. It is the 2-hour limit right now. We'll be happy to stay later and take more questions if you have them. But I just wanted to thank Representative Rigby for putting these things on. Hopefully you all found it valuable. Hopefully you can take some things back home and learn something. Please thank him on your way out for putting this on.
And never hesitate to reach out if we can help. Again, thanks so much, Representative Rigby. You do things for the community, and these are the things that help. You hear about in this world all the big things that are out there. This is really how we help people. It's people making good decisions, helping their family, protecting themselves. Okay, and we can all do that. It's all things that we can do. Never hesitate to reach out to any of us if we can help you. Reach out to Representative Rigby's office for copies of the slide, physical copies or digital copies. And our email addresses are in there. Reach out. We love to hear from you. We're right over at St. Francis. Come over and see us. Right?
Give a nice hand for the 3 professors from. It's a great presentation they do for us. And we'll have more of these coming up. So if you didn't get enough information today, come back to the next one. Not sure where we're going to be at. We're going to be traveling, but we've got a handful of these lined up. Their presentations are amazing. We'll get the copies of these. Reach out to Beth at the Crescent office if you want a hard copy, or if you just want it emailed to you, just call the office and she'll get your email address and we'll get this information out to you so you have it. If you guys are welcome to stick around if you want to ask a few more questions. And for those that had enough, those seats get a little uncomfortable after a while. We thank you all for coming.